very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I was about to ask you, did you guys record your book today? But then I remembered you finished it.
We finished it.
Is it up? Is it?
No,
people get the
not
audio
yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Tom and I were just talking about it when I got here. We've got one little thing that I need. We're going to record at the very end, and that's just kind of a copyright statement.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then Tom is going to figure out exactly how to get it on the podcast. I mean, on
Amazon.
On Amazon and Audible.
Yeah.
Audible books.
If you have it on Amazon and you get it like people get it on their Kindle, I guess they just get it through Amazon.
I guess.
Because I've purchased books on, not my Kindle, but on, so I can read on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or not read on, I guess, or listen on my phone.
Well, there's like my phone and my iPad have just a section called books, and it goes to and it connects with Amazon or whatever I want it to connect to.
Well, you all need to absolutely keep us posted when it's ready, because I know a lot of people who would just rather listen to a book than read a book.
I hear that.
Do you
Literally hear that.
Such a dad joke.
That was a really big dad joke.
Well, you are done with your work on your book. It's got to feel amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I really am. I feel like it just feels like a load is off my shoulders.
sure.
Me
You
too.
know? I know.
It's funny. The last 10 pages, I was procrastinating really bad on getting the editing done. And I basically came out here during the second half of that Cowboys game last night and just chugged through.
Whoa.
But it was like, it has been just one of those things where I just keep putting it off and putting it off. I'm so glad it's over with.
Did you finish?
Editing spoken word is one of the least fun things to do in a recording studio.
Well, and, I'm sure that there are people who are much better at reading their own book.
It has absolutely
than
nothing
me.
to do with you. As a matter of fact, in that last 10 pages,
Yeah.
you were reading some of your finest. There was at least 3 pages where you had no mistakes.
Well, how about that?
That's
That was
amazing.
amazing.
I mean,
that's hard
Tom
to
was
do.
Like,
Yeah.
Take 85, take 86.
That did make me laugh when you were talking about that last time, or one of the times.
No,
That
Tom has
really
been
didn't-
so patient and kind, and yes, I'm just so glad that it's over with.
Should be
Patience
out-
really is one of your strengths. You can see that.
It should be out real soon, though, folks. Real soon.
Well, keep
Oh,
us posted.
good. We will.
So today, we need to thank our sponsor, Paige Anderson, gave another
Nice.
really generous donation. She
Thank
is
you,
just
Paige.
very generous.
That is so
with us.
sweet.
Yeah, very, very sweet. She's a big fan of what we do.
Yeah, that's nice.
So thank you, Paige. Today we are going to talk. I saw this post on Instagram. Yeah, it was it's not even a person I follow. It was one of those advertisements you get probably.
I
because of-
wondered where you got that.
Yeah, I don't even know who this person is, but you know how like if you click on a certain thing or look at a certain thing, then you start getting
You go
those
to
types
someplace else.
of
Yes,
things.
yes.
So this post was 11 attributes of a thriving relationship. And this person is focusing on a romantic relationship.
And this is a guy, right?
I think so.
Yeah, the picture I think looks like his name is Young Pueblo.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. But I liked what he had to say.
Yeah,
And
me
he
too.
has a bunch of followers. So
Yeah, he does.
I'm not sure where he came up with this or what it's rooted in. But I really thought, based on my experience in my professional and personal life, I liked him.
Yeah, and you know what I thought about when you sent that? I thought, what's good about this is that I love that title, 11 attributes of a thriving relationship. Not just a good relationship, but a thriving relationship. And I guess that's one that continues to get better. If you're thriving, aren't you in constant kind of getting better? And so I thought that's really cool, because that's ultimately what we want in our marriage is to, or if you're or in your significant other relationship, is to want to be there because it thrives instead of just, oh gosh, here we go. We've got, how many years do I have left? I don't know, 20 maybe. So you want it to be better. And I love and when I read it all, I thought, oh, these are really good. And they're simplified.
Yes.
They're not real extravagant. You don't have to, do the nasty 100 times a day if you don't want to.
In order to have a thriving relationship. I do like what you brought up, and I hadn't even caught on or thought about that. I had not thought about that word thriving, but I really appreciate you bringing that up, because it is true.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're in a relationship long enough, it's going to take effort.
Sure.
To have a thriving relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is, I liked it because I thought this would be a good little checklist for people to make and kind of put their romantic relationship up against, oh, am I doing this, or do we do this?
Yeah.
It's super
and
helpful.
to remind yourself that there are things that we can do to make it even better. Because I think thriving is not just okay. And so I think that this is really helpful for specific things that can help feed the thrive.
Yes.
So,
love it. So do you want to read the first one?
Well, you want to read the little intro, what he said?
Oh, he said, is this what he wrote down at the bottom?
No.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been writing more deeply on topics like relationships, personal growth, healing, and letting go in my newsletter. Also, the members-only chat room available through the newsletter has been a great way to connect. You can sign up at the link to get access. Is that what you were talking about, to read? Okay. That's all I see. Is that all you see?
Yeah. And then below it says sending love to all, and there's the prayer symbol, and then hashtag Young Pueblo.
Yeah. So this guy might be worth following.
Yeah, probably would.
So so we're going to do half today, and then we'll do half next week.
Okay.
So why don't you tackle number 1?
Okay, number 1. You work as a team. You both know that you have different strengths, and you let them shine as you solve problems together. Depending on the situation, you let each other take the lead, because what you want most is a process and an outcome that the both of you feel good about.
Love it.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? When you think of a team and you think of the different strengths that you have, then as we put it together, then we're going to get better and better and better. And I think it's interesting to be able to depending on the situation, like Tom would be a lot better at some things than I would be. I might be frustrated and be like, oh, I'm not even going to do anything about it. I'm just going to shut my mouth. And Tom is not that way. He goes to the problem and wants to discuss it. And so that's really good for me, because some of the time I just be like, oh, well, fine, it's fine, when it's not fine.
It's so funny that he would bring that out in you, and you're a counselor.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's part of it. Is I don't want to counsel.
Tired.
I'm tired.
You don't want to figure yourself out. You got to figure everybody else out.
But as his job in the company that he runs, they have to solve a lot of problems, and he doesn't just ignore them or. He will go right to it and is not afraid to. He's kind. I've heard him talk to the people with whom he works, and he's kind with them, but he can be right. No, you've got to finish this, and you've got to do it this way. So that's really helpful to me.
Oh, I think one of the most beautiful things about being in a relationship with someone is we tend to, it's been my experience that people tend to gravitate toward someone who's different than themselves. I would find someone like me kind of boring because I've seen it all. I've heard it all, but if I'm with Craig does things different than me, and he's much more patient and he's much more methodical, and he is very thoughtful, and I can just kind of be a bull in a china shop and impatient and spontaneous, and he's just a much more methodical person. And so when we were first starting to date and I'm watching him be different than me, I found that so attractive because I was like, wow, I have some things to learn from this guy. That's interesting that he does it that way.
Yeah.
What is interesting also about that is what I've experienced, and I'm sure you've seen this too, is over time, some of those things that we were first attracted to can also become some of the things that bother us the most because they're different.
That's right. That's right.
But if we could just go back to remembering that at some point, like there's this guy that I went to high school with. He is the funniest guy in the world. He's actually a broadcaster for the Mavs. And I just love him. And he has forever made everybody laugh. He is so funny. And I remember years ago, this is probably 20 years ago, we were at dinner, Topher and I were at dinner with he and his wife, and I asked her, I was like, I mean, does he just make you laugh all day, every day? And she goes, no. He drives me crazy. And I found that to be so fascinating because that is the most endearing thing about this guy. And I'm sure that was a big part of what she loved about him in the very beginning.
Don't you know?
Yes. Oh, he's so funny.
I saw him at a party on Saturday night.
Really?
Yep.
How do you know who I'm talking about?
Well, he's the only Mavs broadcaster that we both know.
Oh, okay. Okay. He's fabulous. Isn't he hilarious?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But his wife was like completely disenchanted. And they'd only been married at that time like 5 years. But, she was kind of over his humor.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a good checkpoint to
It is.
remember why you fell in love.
Yeah. It really is.
And appreciating your differences.
So, Tom, what are yours? What's really different in your marriage? Where do you see the differences?
Man, this is going to be a hard one because I don't want Maureen to hear this. I guess lately I've been noticing some inconsistencies with like thoroughness, if that makes sense.
Boy.
So like she's thorough. My wife is thorough as can be. Like whenever something comes across into the to-do box, she gets to it quickly. When she wants me to do something, she will get to that. She will stay on me and make sure that I get to it quickly. But then there's like these other things that sometimes don't get done quickly, and I'm always kind of like, well, where's the what's the word? Initiative that she has for everything else except for these few things. And it's just kind of, I've just been noticing a few things, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
You are a smart man.
I'm just like, just like little deal, just like small stuff where I'm kind of wondering where the
initiative is.
Where's
the drive?
Where's the ball buster in you when it comes to this one thing?
Maybe she's tired.
Yeah. Well, she is tired. We're all tired. We all have, we have a kid, and but it's just kind of funny how just a few items on the to-do list sometimes
fall through the cracks.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, people. Yeah,
and you are incredibly particular.
Yes, you are.
I mean, maybe
you appear to me to be incredibly particular.
I am very particular, but I can also lay on the couch and wait till tomorrow to do something. I'm totally capable of doing that too.
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I just think that if people approach their marriage from the standpoint of being a team and a team member, I think that would help us to soften in our criticism or our, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe he didn't pick up his clothes or whatever that is. Then because as a team, you're wanting the same ultimate goal.
Right.
So I think that word is really pretty important.
I could not agree more. I advise couples all the time. Instead, I encourage them to visualize their relationship as like a tennis game.
Yeah.
And instead of volleying back and forth, like one of you needs to run as quickly as possible to the other side of the court, and you need to play doubles against the to find the solution or against the problem. And just get as quickly as possible, get on the same team.
Yeah.
Instead of going back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
Because we are different.
We are different.
But our differences don't make somebody, it doesn't have to mean that somebody's wrong.
Well, and if you're approaching something from a team mentality, then you want the differences because you're going to help
It's more strengths.
It's more strengths and they're different, and so you can depend on one another for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, that's
one.
good. Really good.
Okay, second one. Sorry, I've got to open it back up again. I get out of it and then my phone goes to sleep.
I can read it.
Okay, yeah, you go.
You understand that every day won't be a great day. Part of love is letting go of perfection. You know that it is natural to have ups and downs and that joy is not an ever-flowing constant. You use the down moments as opportunities to support each other.
Boy, I could learn from this.
It's true. It's real. That's really good. Every day is not going to be a great day. Yeah.
And loving each other instead of being frustrated or cranky or disappointed.
Yeah, and the second word in this is understand. So understanding is an important word. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have to have the expectation that he's going to walk in the door and be zippity-doo-dah, or don't take things so personally, because you just understand that some days are not going to be great.
That's exactly right. And when you said that, the first thing I think of is trying hard to give your partner the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Because rarely do we wake up. I mean, I just don't know hardly anybody. I don't think I do know anybody who'd be like, wake up. What can I do to be an asshole to Craig today? Like, that's never my goal.
No, no.
Or to my children or to anybody, you know? And yet I'm still human. And so it's just giving your partner the benefit of the doubt, even when they make a mistake or don't do it perfectly the way you would.
Yeah. And being okay when your partner's not okay. You know, when your partner has a down moment or is frustrated, just to not take it personally and realize that I can be okay. If Tom's not okay, I might say, are you all right? Or can I do anything to make something better? And if he's like, no, then I can be like, okay, I can leave it alone and not try to fix everything.
I think that is such a difficult thing to learn, and yet that might be one of the most amazing things that we can learn as adults. Like, is there anything I can do to help? Nope. Okay. And then truly walking away from it, letting it go. Like, one of my favorite stories, and I know you've told it on here, but you told it to me when I was seeing you for counseling. There was one time that Tom really wanted you to watch the Cowboy game. And you didn't want to. You were tired. You were worn out. You really weren't interested. I think it was the Cowboy game. And you really wanted to go upstairs, get in the bed. And I think you said you wanted to watch Real Housewives, which
Probably.
Girl after my own heart. And Tom kind of got a little upset with you because you didn't want to watch the Cowboy game. But that wasn't yours to take on. You weren't saying no to Tom to hurt his feelings. He just happened to let that bother him. And instead of just letting that go, he got a little quiet or a little pouty or whatever it was. But you just walked up those stairs and you were like, sucks for you.
Well, yeah, you can I can be okay when others are not okay. I don't have to fix it. Now, if I need to fix it, if I've been unkind or something, then it is my responsibility to him to go back in and try to make amends for that. But yeah, that helps, because I think people a lot of times people expect people to just be happy all the time. And we're human. We're just not going to be that way.
I don't trust people who are like that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I connect much more authentically and closely with people who kind of just wear their truth, you know? Those are my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, number 3, you both embrace growth. Love is the clearest mirror that will reveal your strengths and the qualities you need to keep cultivating. You don't fear your own imperfection. Instead, you embrace the challenge to take your evolution into your own hands. You know, the more you grow, not only will your personal happiness expand, but you will also be able to love your partner better. Somebody reads this.
Yeah.
And when you read this, what does growth mean to you? When they're saying you both embrace growth and how important it is, what does that look like to you?
Well, for me, for my personal growth, I really am really dedicated to have my morning devotional where I go get my coffee, go sit out on the porch if it's cool enough or warm enough to go out there and do my readings and do my prayers and think about the things that I want to focus on for the day, and that helps me become my better self when I take those opportunities. And you know what's interesting, that Tom started meditating, and he has meditated every single day for over 400 days.
Wow, over a year.
And has not missed one day.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
It is. And he really, and it's a guided meditation, and and then he journals and has, it really kind of really kind of stepped out in that area about a year ago or a little more than that. And he's really been dedicated to it.
That's really
and I
cool.
really admire that so much.
I do too. I think that when one partner is doing the work, whatever, I'm putting it in quotes, on themselves or personal growth, or whether it's reading, meditation, therapy, self-help, and then the other person isn't and not interested in it, that is a lone. I was in that marriage. I mean, and that was I remember at one point looking at my nightstand and then looking at Topher's nightstand, and my nightstand had like 6 books, of like the grinding of the growth. And his had Sports Illustrated magazine. And probably Swimsuit Edition. I mean, he's not dumb. But I remember feeling that disconnect in my marriage. I think it's when one person, and I'm not saying I'm better than Topher, we were just in different places.
Right.
But when one person is seeking and the other person is just not interested, you're kind of at a standstill.
Yeah, and
it's tough.
It is, and it's almost like a diet too. If you're trying to, if you're trying to eat healthy and lower your cholesterol, and somebody else is bringing home Bubba's every night,
with a bowl of ice cream.
I did have Bubba's the other night. It was so good. But it, so it helps you. It does help create that teamwork.
Yeah.
Because then you're not having, you're not pulling out ice cream every meal and making it hard for somebody who doesn't need to be eating that or doesn't want to be eating it because they're trying to get their body fat down or they're, I'm really trying to work on my saturated fat just because.
You have for a long time.
So that's the one thing that I really do look at, and it would be hard if there were all the brownies and all everything in my face every day.
Things that you want to eat too, but you just got to get away from it.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most difficult, I'll tell a quick story and then I have a question for you. Truly one of the most difficult appointments that I've had in all my time as like a pastor and pastoral counseling and meeting people in my home. A week or so, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met a couple for the first time, and this couple, the man had a really bad injury about a year ago, and it has deeply affected his day to day. And he has his mind, but he has a lot of problems with his body now. And it was an accident in a pool, and his wife and their marriage has taken a huge hit.
Sure.
In every way, physically, sexually, emotionally, all the things. And he is just desperate to get his marriage back. Just desperate to do the work and come for counseling and do whatever they need to do to get his marriage back. Because he said they were very happily married before the accident. And she's just not interested. She has zero interest in working on the marriage. And she was kind of defiant. And I said, well, if you're not interested in doing this, then I can't help you. I just can't.
Right.
And you're wasting your time, money, all the things. And he said, well, I would like to come to you. And even if she doesn't come. And so I've met with him 4 times now, and my heart just breaks for him because he is alone in the healing process of this. And he is married to somebody who's not interested. So when you have encountered that as a counselor, when there's one person who's really interested in growth and change and expansion, and that part of your relationship thriving, and then somebody else isn't, how do you counsel that situation?
I think you probably, just like you probably did, try to encourage the other person to do something that's in that realm so that you do have that you share, so it's not, I may not listen to the same recording that Tom listens to when he does his meditation. I do mine a different way, but it's the idea that we're both doing that same activity. And I think that at one point, the person that is doing their own improvement just has to practice acceptance, which means that it's, you don't have to like acceptance. Acceptance just means it is what it is. So I think that at some point that's what has to happen.
Do you think that you can have a thriving relationship in that, if that's the scenario?
Well, it depends on how encompassing it all is. In this situation that you're talking about, I would imagine that it's a lot that has to be done, for that man. And I don't know. I think that there are times when people just can't do it or don't want to do it. I don't know how you make somebody do that.
And you can't.
You can't.
You really, it's like, going back to your weight analogy, it's like trying to talk somebody into losing weight who's just not ready. You have to be ready.
Yeah.
But God, I watch this man and he's just lonely.
Yeah.
In his journey of
Oh, that's really hard.
It's really hard. But, I don't think you have to be in an accident, and that's an extreme case. But I do think, like, even me in my marriage, where I saw kind of a different trajectory of healing and growth and expansion that I was really interested in being a part of. And that just wasn't something that Topher was interested in being a part of.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah, it is. You can take them to water, but you can't make them drink.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's so true. Okay, do you want to read 4?
Yeah, I got to find it and pull it up. Here it is. Okay. You understand that the deepest happiness comes from within. You both have enough wisdom to not give the responsibility of your happiness to another person. You know your partner can certainly add to the beauty of life, but that ultimately your personal perceptions and reactions are the biggest factors that impact how you see the world. You know that your happiness is a puzzle that only you can solve. That's a really good one, because I think a lot of people in our relationships think that it's their responsibility to make me happy.
Of course.
And I think that we have a responsibility to one another to be kind. But I think that there are, people are just different. And I think being in a marriage that is thriving has to have some space to where if I want to go to San Miguel with my friend Vicky and Tom doesn't really want to go there, then that's okay with me, and it's okay with him that I go ahead and do that. So that your happiness is not something that it's somebody else's job to complete.
Not at all.
No. And I think that and I'll have couples come and say, well, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy in my marriage. And the first thing I say is, what do you want? What is it that you're not getting? What is it that you want? Can you get it for yourself? Can you ask your partner for it? And make sure that you're being specific enough in a relationship to ask for what you want, whether it's making up the bed or staying up. I like to go to bed about 9 o'clock. Tom will stay up till 10:30 or so. And he might prefer that I stay awake with him and watch TV. But I don't. I go to bed because it's what I want to do. But then on the weekends, we always hang out together and watch a movie or something like that. But I think that it's nobody's job to make me happy. And it's not my job to make anybody else happy.
No.
But it is my job, if I'm in a relationship, to care about what the other person wants and needs. Then you can start your negotiation process. Is how you go about that, and how do you, if Tom wants to do a specific trip, like if he wants to go on a biking trip somewhere, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go. I don't want to go on a trip and ride a bike. A lot of people do it, especially since your accident. But if Tom wanted to do that, then I could go there and stay in the hotel and do my own thing, and he could bike all day, and then we could have dinner together or whatever. But it's not. We can have our individuality, but remembering that it does impact the marriage or the relationship.
I love this one because I think that a lot of people put the responsibility of their happiness on their relationship.
Yeah.
Their partner.
Yeah.
And I mean, being with Craig makes me so happy. I love being with him. Like this weekend, we went to go see Carter play in Virginia, where he plays football. And I said to Craig, doing this with you is so much more fun than the weekends I've come here and I'm alone. It's just so much more fun to have your wingman. But it's not like I'm not going to go if Craig can't come.
But if Craig said, you know what, Tova, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
I love Carter, but I'm just not interested in taking that trip.
Right.
Then you could say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and go.
Yes.
You know, because that was what you want to do to be happy, but
Right.
it's not his
No,
responsibility.
it is not Craig dependent.
Yeah.
And things are, I mean, it's so fun having him there, but I'm going to do that regardless.
Yeah.
And I would have a great time even if he wasn't there. It's just, I would prefer him there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just finding a healthy balance of your individuality as a collective in a relationship.
Well, you look at when we're talking about a team, you know, and you're looking at Carter playing football, you know, his position is very different than the right tackle, or you know, so but it all goes together.
Yeah, everybody plays a part.
So yeah, I like that this is a reminder, and I think that there are a lot of people that I see as couples will come in, and one or the other is just really swarming in their negativity about how miserable they are because their partner is not doing something real specific, you know, and I always go back to, you know, you can ask for what you want, but you can't demand what you get. And
Well,
so
you can, but that's not going to
it's not
be effective.
No, it's not. You can demand it, but most of the time that doesn't really
No,
work.
that's a really uninspiring approach.
Yeah, it is.
Tom, you want to take 5?
Absolutely.
Are you
Wait
sleeping?
for it. Wait for it.
My mic was muted. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay, you are both intentional about being present with each other. Life can get really busy, but you make sure to create space for the two of you to reconnect and share honesty and openly about how you have been. You always make it a point to keep developing your connection.
Oh.
How do you do that, Tom, in your relationship?
I don't know if I go to these depths to communicate.
Well, good. This
yeah.
should help you. You're welcome, Maureen.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess this would probably.
I think this is a really important one.
There's one thing that sticks in my craw about, like, I feel like Maureen is on her phone a lot at home. When she gets home from work, I feel like at the dinner table sometimes, and then a lot of times just like before dinner and after dinner, right before Betty goes to bed, I feel like she's on her phone most of that time. She would say that she's not, but she is. And maybe she doesn't have Instagram time at work.
Yeah.
But I guess I feel that hour or two before Betty goes to bed is not the best time for it either.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not just Betty, me too. You know, I'll be,
of course.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are some nights that I grab my phone and I start texting with somebody and I'm like trying to work something out and it just seems like I'm on that thing all the time. But I don't know. Instagram is the bane of my existence.
It can be.
It is just, I hate that app so much.
I barely ever really.
Do you look at it, Tom? Do you even have an Instagram account?
I have an Instagram account because I've tried it. That's like really the only way I can try to stay relevant as far as my studio is concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
So anytime there's like recording clients that are in here doing fun stuff, I try to post a picture of it, but it's ever since Betty came on the scene, I've got less time for studio stuff, and I'm not really great about keeping it up to date. So the short answer is I do have it, but the app is not on my phone. So the only time I can look at Instagram is on my computer in the studio or when I have my iPad, which is always in my room.
You know, that's some great advice. I know you're not giving it as advice, but yeah, if you have it on your phone and on top of it, you're getting the notifications.
Yes.
You're toast.
Yes.
Like you're absolutely toast because like last night I got home. I was exhausted. I'd stayed. Our plane was kind of later. We landed at 9:45. I got home. I talked to George, hung out with him till like 11:30. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But what do? Open Instagram and just flip through it because I hadn't looked through it all weekend. And I'm like, and then 30 minutes later, now I'm finally that is the dumbest waste of time.
Do you get notifications when people post?
No, I don't get notifications when people post. But if somebody DMs me, if somebody sends me a message, or if one of my kids posts, then it notifies me. But it's like if you posted, I wouldn't get a notification. Janice Gaunt.
I don't get any notifications.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That's why when you sent me this on Instagram, I was like, I have no idea where that is on my Instagram.
So funny.
I definitely have my notifications turned off, but it is really hard just when you go look at one thing.
Oh, yeah. Then the scroll begins.
You scroll and you just can't put it down, and it just kind of becomes a time suck. I guess mostly with this particular... I feel like Instagram is probably not what this guy had in mind when he was writing number 5.
Oh, I think he very well could have, because it's just about being present.
Or Facebook. A lot of people that live on Facebook.
Or just your just your phone in general. I think it is dangerous, in my opinion, to always have your phone. Like, we survived as people many, many centuries without this device.
Yeah.
Well, what were you going to say, Tom?
Well, I was going to say, as far as like Maureen and I definitely try to do things on our own. Like we make sure that there's at least one trip every year that's just me and Maureen and I without Betty, and that's a necessity. Maybe sometimes we get to do 2, but we have to have at least one.
That's great.
I'll tell you what, speaking of if you want to get off your phone, get an Apple Watch, because it like cuts your phone time in half. Really does.
How? What do you mean?
I know that I
think that people could say that might make it worse.
It absolutely doesn't, because you can do texting and find stuff. Like, there's a lot of information you can get from the Apple Watch that will keep you from pulling your phone out of your pocket and getting on it. Because the Instagram thing can be one of those things where you're just checking the weather and then, oh, my phone's open, I'll check Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So if you're trying to do less phone time, I know it sounds weird. The Apple Watch will make that reality.
Wow.
Because you can like quickly look at a text on your watch and see that it's not important, and you just leave your phone in your pocket and get right back to what you were doing. Same thing with responding to texts, like yes and no, and all you have to do is just say yes or no. You can just say it right into your watch. It sends it. You're back to your business.
Or there are responses that pop up that it could say "talk to you later" or something like that. And it really, I agree with you, because you don't go to another place.
Yep.
You know, I've always been
I
hesitant.
thought it would make me want to. I held off on the Apple Watch because I thought it would make me be more into my phone, but it's the exact opposite, and I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to send a text on your Apple on your watch. It's hard because it's not the keyboard. I mean, it's different.
Is it just all dictation? Do you have
no,
to speak?
You can type with one finger. You kind of drag around. It's hard, but dictation is usually the easiest way, and it's faster to do that. It's not always punctually accurate or whatever, if that's the wrong word.
Yeah,
punctuation wise, but. The other cool thing is you don't always have to have your phone. Like if I'm going into the grocery store, I can leave my phone in my car and just have my Apple Watch, and there you go.
And
nobody can bother me.
An emergency or something.
Yes.
But they can call you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can answer a call on the Apple Watch.
Yeah,
which is
that's really
Dick
cool.
Tracy style.
Yeah, totally. I to your point, and Tom, I appreciate what you brought up about how you and Maureen are just a little bit different with your phones. I think that dynamic exists with a lot of couples, and I think it's really important if you are, like Craig is way more connected to his phone than I am mine. I have no problem putting my phone away for the night. I don't need. I'm not one of those not that people are crazy, but not one of the. Like, I don't have to have it. I'm not worried about my kids. I'm not like. But what if my kids need me? I mean, if something, they can call Craig.
They'll eventually find you.
me. It's like it's all gonna be okay, and I'll go on a walk sometimes without my phone, or I just don't mind. But sometimes Craig is also on his phone, in my opinion, too much. And it's like, I'm here with you, and he's texting, or he keeps answering work calls, and I'm like, it's 8:30. Like, let's put our phones up and start dinner, And so I for the person who is on their phone more, it doesn't feel like as big of a deal to the person who's on their phone less.
Yeah. And another thing you can do, this is something that Tom and I do. We will, about 9:00 or 8:30, 8:15, something like that, because we'll eat dinner probably at 6:30, 6, 7, something like that. And then we'll watch a show. Mm-hmm. And so we put our phones down. We don't, there's no phone.
You're not totally connected.
No, we're not.
Yeah. Craig never puts his phone down.
Both of us put our phones down and watch the show together, so that we're both actually present, even though we're watching something, and we're not visiting. But then you have interaction when you're watching something.
Totally.
But that helps to not have to look at the phone.
Yeah, really makes a difference in feeling connected with
all
somebody.
of that stuff will be there later.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single thing on your phone will be there later. In 30 minutes when you're done with dinner. All of the texts and everything that you thought was, that's the thing, is like, you don't have to respond immediately to every text.
No.
Like, it's so funny. Some people will text like 4 times if they're like, it's their way of saying you're not responding. And it's kind of like, I got your text, and I'm going to respond whenever I have time.
Whenever I respond.
Yes, exactly. I feel like the short, rapid text is a result of people not responding immediately.
Yeah. I am the absolute worst about, y'all know this. I am not a rapid fire responder. I mean, even I sent this to you, and and then I went to go see Carter this weekend, and I kind of didn't have my phone a lot,
But that's fine.
Yes.
Because people, for the most part, are going to wait.
Yes.
Yes.
Totally.
And if it's an emergency from one of your children, then that's a different thing.
And they will find you.
And they will find you eventually, even then.
Okay, well, we'll wrap this one up, and then we'll come back next week for the last 6.
Okay.
We need to do 6 through 11 next week.
Sounds good.
Well, I thought these were fantastic.
Me too. I really like it a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, nobody's asking you to do something too weird.
No, I haven't had to have sex yet. We hope y'all have an amazing week. Thank you so much for listening.